Hello everybody, hope everybody's well. So I'm going to talk about a few things about my last video, and then we're going to get right into something else, all right? Regarding last week's video, when I was talking about how we got indicted and how I went away and this and that, how it went down was very simple. I'm going to make it real short, okay? When the feds come knocking at your door, okay, you get a letter that says United States government versus Giuseppe Giudice, Teresa Giudice, whatever it might be. So now you're facing the federal government, all right? It's not a state or municipal, you know what I mean? It's federal government. I'm not saying I'm 100% right, but what I did, basically, I did everything by the book as far as flipping homes. And, what the government doesn't like is that when you know the laws of flipping properties and not paying taxes, they don't like that. And it's a very simple procedure. Everybody could do it. It's not like anything that's a secret. I mean, I've done it for years. Obviously they didn't like that. And if I was doing anything wrong, you know, I used to go and get $1 million loans from banks. I had multiple unit buildings, 50, 60 unit buildings, 75, 100 unit buildings. In total, I had over 400 units. All right. So I didn't have just a couple of units. And plus, I had commercial stores, and I ran a pizzeria, I ran laundromats, I ran all kinds of things. All right. And I had just regular commercial space that I rented. When they come after you, they have a charge that they throw at you, and it's the same charge. Like, let's just say I got indicted 39 counts. Okay. Those 39 counts are all the same charge. They just throw 39 counts at you. That's all it is. But they're all basically the same charge. So, one's whatever fraud, this fraud, that fraud, whatever. They throw it all at you. And then at the end, maybe one sticks, you know what I mean? Because that's all you plead to is one, and then they give you a sentence, they give you a, whatever it is, 41 months. My case was 41 months. Okay. And that was it. You know what I mean? So now I had taken full responsibility for everything. At that point, it's either you go to trial or you take a plea. You don't want to go to trial, because if you go to trial and you lose, you're going to do double time. So now instead of 41 months, you're going to have 82 months to deal with. That's something that you don't really want to do. Okay. Some people do, you know what I mean? But then they got to pay the price. You know what I mean? And that's the problem. When you try to exercise your rights, it doesn't always work in your favor. So in my case, I took the plea. My ex was supposed to stay home with the kids. Everything was supposed to go as, as normal, and that's it. But when we went to sentencing, the judge decided to sentence my ex as well to a year in prison, which was crazy because that wasn't part of the plea. All right, so she went against the plea, which is unheard of. All right, nobody does that. She did it. Okay, the lawyers were scrambling, everybody's scrambling. What's going on? This ain't right, but this, that. Anyway, they did everything they could, but the judge wasn't having it. So she sentenced my ex to, a year in prison for absolutely no reason. That's her first time she ever gotten in trouble for anything, and really she didn't even do anything. She just refinanced it in her name. I bought the property in my name and then refinanced it in her name because she had good credit. There's nothing wrong with that. Everybody could do that. Right? There's nothing wrong with that. I can teach you how to do it. It's very simple. There is nothing wrong with that. Everybody can do that. What happened there was very wrong. All right. So, and listen, at the end of the day, the guy Fish got fired, which was a district attorney. All right. My ex-lawyer was a good criminal attorney, but not a good white-collar attorney. He was not a good white-collar attorney. My ex-wife's attorney was supposedly a good white-collar attorney, but I don't think so. I mean, he did what he could, but he wasn't that good. We've gotten different attorneys as well. We got a big firm in Hackensack that whatever, he was supposed to do this and do that. He didn't do anything either, all right? Nobody did anything. At the end of the day, it's very simple, all right? You take a plea or you go to trial. You know what I mean? Like I said before, there's no fighting. There's no nothing. They don't care. Yeah, they'll let it go on for a year, 2 years, whatever. They'll suck everything they could out of you. You know what I mean? Whether you bring them paperwork that proves that you're right or you're wrong, it doesn't matter. All right? You could talk to them blue in the face. Yeah, they'll yes you to death, but at the end of the day, the charges are still the same. The the sentence is still the same. Everything is still the same. The plea is still the same at the end of the day. They're not going to change it. Okay? Unless you're willing to rat somebody out. If you're looking to rat somebody out, yeah, they'll sit down, they'll talk to you, they'll do whatever it is they want to talk to you about. You know what I mean? Sure, you want to rat somebody out, then go right ahead. That's not my thing, all right? Basically, I did my time, and that was it. We paid a big penalty, All right, a big, big fine. We paid, I believe, like $500,000 fine when we were there. And then they didn't even know how much taxes we owed. They just came up with a figure of $1,000,000, and they said, okay, you got to pay $1,500,000. So we paid them 500, then we made a payment plan and paid $1,000,000. That was only if my ex stayed home. All right, but they still indicted her, sent her to prison. All right, and she wasn't supposed to go to prison because all our companies agreed, just you go to prison, let your ex stay home, and let all the businesses run. Okay. Well, that wasn't the case. When they indicted her, they indicted me. That was it. All right. They froze all of our assets as far as, properties and this, that, and the other thing. I mean, when they come at you and they don't play fair. All right. They do not play fair. Anyway, make a long story short, karma, I believe in karma. All right. My ex-partner that knew he shouldn't have took my case, but he did what he could do. All right. Unfortunately, the poor guy died with some cancer on his face, whatever he got. You know what I mean? Miles Feinstein, which was a very good attorney. He was like a top 100, 200 attorneys, whatever he was. The district attorney at the time, which was Fish something, he got fired. He was a little pipsqueak, and he was all happy. He was so happy that they indicted Teresa. He's going up in the news, and yeah, we indicted the Real Housewives. Wow, what a man that guy is, indicting a Real Housewife. Yeah, that guy's, I tell you, he did a hell of a job, huh? Bravo for him. A little pipsqueak. You better never run into him. Anyway, then you got the judge. All right. And now look, the judge too. I mean, was she supposed to do that? No. All right. But she talked a lot and did this and did that. And she's a federal judge. I mean, come on, you're not even supposed to be talking. She was out in bars talking about this and talking about that. How she's going to do this and do that with the with the Real Housewife Teresa, whatever. For some reason, she didn't like Teresa. Okay, I think they were more after Teresa than they were after me, to be honest with you. For some reason, they wanted her so bad, and I don't know why. All right, but they did. The judge was rambling about Jimmy Choo shoes, doing this, doing that. It's like, listen. If you got it, you buy it. If you ain't got it, you can't buy it. All right. It's not like we didn't have it. We had it. All right. There was no problem with that. Okay. The problem was, when we got indicted, lawsuits were coming out everywhere. I had a lot of things going on. You know what I mean? I'm not going to lie. When I started that show, I mean, I had over 400 units. I had tenants suing me. I had everybody suing me. And everybody from under the rock. Everybody's coming out from everywhere suing me. I had lawsuits everywhere. And that's just part of the game, you know what I mean, when you get involved in that kind of life. You know what I mean? Everybody wants a piece of you. You know what I mean? That's just the way it is. Tenants saying they're falling on sidewalks. I never had that before. Tenants that suing you because they broke their arm or whatever. You know what I mean? Whatever it might be. Everything that happened to whatever tenant that, knew me, that I was on the show, wanted to sue me. I had a lot of lawsuits out there, trust me. All right? And, 5,000. Everybody that files a lawsuit, it starts with 5,000, 5,000, 5,000, 5,000. By the time you're done, it's 25, 30,000 each person. There was a lot going on at the time. Okay, so but the moral of the story is that my ex should have never been sentenced to prison. All right, that was wrong. Listen, I don't want to say it's a bad thing. You know what I mean? It's very bad what happened to the judge. You know what I mean? Because some other attorney that she must have pissed off went there dressed in a FedEx outfit, shot the son dead, shot the husband, and then she ran to the basement. Now all of a sudden she is like this priest or whatever. She wants to be this nun now, right? Oh, she wants to do good with everybody now, right? It's too late. How many people did you screw over? How many families have you separated? How many things have you done to people out there that you weren't supposed to do because you just want to be, whatever. I mean, there's laws to everything. You know what I mean? You go by the law book. All right. Once you come to an agreement, come to a plea, you don't go against your plea and sentence somebody at sentencing when you're not supposed to. I mean, you don't do that. That's unheard of. All right. That nobody does that. So anyway, she did it. And I'm not saying she deserved what she got. That's wrong. I mean, that poor kid, I mean, God rest his soul. But I mean, that is wrong. You know what I mean? I'm not saying her husband deserved that either. You know what I mean? But it's crazy how things happen like that. My ex-partner that went to the feds, all right? And when I met my ex-partner, yes, other people on the show, like my ex-brother-in-law, were all with them, all right? We're all together with them, filming, all right? Actually my ex-partner's lawyer came to a scene on The Housewives going to Melissa Gorga's party one night and brought this Monica Michonne, whatever her name is, Monica Michonne, all right, to the party that night. I mean, come on. What's that telling you? Why would you bring a lawyer that you know that's my ex-partner's lawyer that went to the feds to try to indict me, all right? Or maybe he was getting indicted and gave me up and said, listen, I got something better for you, because he owed taxes for years. He hid, he did this, he did that. He was always had his real estate company in somebody else's name. He worked as a broker. He did everything that was crooked that you could possibly think of. Now, I don't know how I ended up partners with this guy, but I bought properties from this guy when I was in my 20s, early 20s, probably 23. I probably bought my third property from this guy. So he's been in the real estate business for a long time. And, you would think, I mean, we're here to make money, right? We're not here to screw each other. I mean, that's the way I work. You know what I mean? I don't screw anybody. I don't owe anybody money. Okay, all the years I've been doing construction, building homes, apartment buildings, all the work everybody has ever done for me, I don't owe anybody anything. All right, I've always paid everybody. Okay, and that's just the way I am, and I'll always be that way. I don't like to screw anybody over for a dime. That's just not the way I roll. I don't know why he want. Oh, it was over a couple $100,000 too. We made millions together. All right, and this idiot goes to the federal government over a couple $100,000. Can you imagine? You got to be a complete loser. A complete loser. And I actually did pay him back, all right? I refinanced the building, all right? And he had a lien on him for $250,000, all right, whatever it was. So the person that had the lien on him got the money. He got pissed at me because he had a lien on him, all right? So he even got paid, but he didn't get the money because he had a lien on him. And that was that. So, I mean, come on. It's like, let's get real here. You know what I mean? It's like, it doesn't make sense. So you go to the feds because you're pissed at me that you had a lien on you after I refinanced the building and got you your money. All right? I didn't know you had a lien on you. How am I supposed to know? All right? Anyway, that's it. So he got screwed and he got pissed at me and went to the feds to, rat me out because, whatever. I was on the show and I was more interesting to the feds than he was. You know what I mean? So they took interest in it. I don't know what he told them. He told them all this garbage, you know what I mean? And they took interest in it because he was a good BSer. He's a realtor, you know what I mean? So he's a good BSer, and they listened to him and basically, let him ride, you know what I mean? But also what happened to him, he had a couple of heart attacks. He's living like a pepperoni down in Florida somewhere now. You know what I mean? Worthless. He's worthless now. He's not doing it. I don't know what he's doing. But he's a worthless pepperoni now. And that's it, man. Listen, karma, you never do bad to people, all right? That's one thing. You never do bad, all right? Whatever, just remember something. Whenever you're doing bad, all right, whatever you do bad to other people, it's always going to come back to you. One way or another, it's going to come back to you. Trust me. I'm just low-key right now. I do my thing. I don't care. I would never hurt anybody. That's not my style, all right? I don't like to hurt people for money because, they got families, they got whatever. Everybody's got families to feed. You don't do that, all right? You just don't screw people over for money. That's not the way, that's not the way you're supposed to do things, all right? That's not the way you're supposed to make money, all right, by screwing people over. That's not the way it works. But I'm not saying I was 100% right. No, I mean, could have did a lot of things differently. You know what I mean? I could have became an American citizen. I could have, did whatever. But whatever plea I took full responsibility for. I didn't have a choice. You know what I mean? I could have went to trial. Yeah, I could have went to trial. Would I have won? Probably not. I don't know. I don't know. And my attorney was one of the best trial attorneys in like the state. You know what I mean? He was actually one of the best trial attorneys in the state, and he was one of the best cross-examiners in the state. All right, so that's what he was good at. All right, and that's why I stuck with him. But he didn't understand white collar. He understood if you killed somebody, he knew how to get you out of that. You know what I mean? He would know, oh, listen, the knife didn't come from this way, it came from that way, and somehow got the guy off for murder. Yeah, that he's good at. If somebody shot this guy, he shot somebody dead, yeah, this guy would know how to get him off. Somehow, convince the jury and judge, hey, listen, this guy, he shot him, but, it wasn't true. He knew how to convince people to do that. He won a lot of, he did a lot of mob people. He did a lot of everything. He a lot of murders. He did all that kind of stuff, drugs, whatever, all kinds of like criminal stuff. Yeah, he was very good at that. But he just wasn't very good at my white collar case. You know what I mean? But not saying that he got me such a bad deal. But it wasn't him. It was the immigration attorney, Jerry Gonzalez, that was terrible. He was a terrible, terrible attorney, and he is probably one of the worst immigration attorneys out there. Okay, a complete like I don't know. I can't even. He just doesn't know what he's doing. All right. I mean, he honestly does not know what he's doing. I would never hire him. I would never recommend him to anybody. As far as that goes, that's all I have to say about, that case, about what I talked about last week. In case I didn't, you know, explain it the right way. You know what I mean? And that's how it rolls. I mean, when you get indicted, and I hope that nobody gets indicted because it's not a good feeling. All right. When you get indicted and you don't know really what to do, who to hire, where to go, you know what I mean? And because you've never been in that kind of situation, it's not a good feeling. All right. It's definitely not a good feeling. And, you do whatever you can to try to get out of it. All right. And you listen to this person, you listen to that person. At the end of the day, nobody really knows what they're talking about. Okay, it's just a big money scam. It's a big money whatever, and you're going to get whatever time you're going to get no matter what. They already have it planned already to where it's going to go at the end, but they're going to try to suck you out of whatever monies they could suck you out of, and have you pay for this and have you pay for that. Just the way it is. It's a big, it's a big, really, it's a big scandal. Is what it is. You know what I mean? It's and that's what they do. No matter how strong you think your case is, you know what I mean? And like even me, I knew my case and I know real estate law. And no matter what documents I had to prove that I was, I didn't know this money and I didn't know that money, they didn't care. They did not care. When I was done with my 36-month sentence, I wanted out. All right. I stayed there for my family. All right. I stayed there for my family because, if there was any hope, I wasn't, because once you leave, you can't go back, unfortunately. You know what I mean? So therefore, I stayed for my family. I stayed for my 4 kids. I stayed for my ex, my family that I have there that I love and adore so much. And guess what? It didn't go my way. All right. After the second time they threw me down, they wanted me to go to the Third Circuit. All right. And immigration. And you have no idea how it was in that immigration place. That immigration place was the pits. All right. Forget about it. It was like the worst. You know what I mean? Being locked up in a room all day like a dog. All right, not even a dog is locked up like that. All right, you saw maybe outside once, maybe outside once a month. The first 3 months because they had me in isolation for some reason. And I was like, look, you don't get me out of this isolation here, I'm going to go nuts. Matter of fact, I was in there with a bunch of like Mexicans and some Dominican guys or whatever. Right? They were always watching the Spanish channels. Now, I was like, look. I don't mind you guys watching the Spanish channels because half the times I'm working out, I'm on the phone, doing whatever my thing. But once in a while, when I want to watch some TV, I want to watch it. You know what I mean? So now I'm stuck with these 5 or 6 or whatever it was, like 7 or 8 of us in this one little thing. And a lot of these guys like to be in this secluded area and just not be around the rest of the people. You know what I mean? Population. But after a while, it gets you. You're allowed out an hour a day or 2 hours a day for the gym, and then after the gym, you come right back in, and the gym is inside, so you're rarely ever outside in the yard. I think you went outside in the yard maybe once in a while. They took you out if they had time to take you out, which drove you nuts in there. So just imagine being in a little 6 by or 8 by whatever it is, 30 feet by 10 feet, let's just say the whole thing. All right, and then at night the gates close. All right, and then you go out in the morning to go get your little breakfast in your little 4-foot area where the phones are and do whatever. It was the worst. Make a long story short, the second time they denied it, and they still wanted me to go to the Third Circuit, and I was like, listen, to my family, I was like, I love you, I'll do anything. But I mean, I was down to 165 pounds. All right, I was like literally looking like Skeletor. All right, I did not look good at all. I mean, my health was deteriorating, even though I thought I was in like great shape. All right, but I wasn't. All right, I mean, it was not. All right, I mean, you mentally drain yourself in there. You mentally get drained. You physically just die in there. You know what I mean? It's like inside that type of prison. Inside the other one, the federal prison. I mean, you had a little more. You're always outside. You know what I mean? You're walking around. You're eating much better. it's not like being inside a dungeon with like, getting fed this garbage, whatever garbage they're feeding you. I mean, it was all garbage. It wasn't like you could really even buy commissary in there. You know what I mean? Well, you couldn't even buy commissary in there, I don't think. I don't think so. Or could you? I don't even remember. But anyway, at the end of the day, the food was garbage. Everything was garbage in there. And it really takes a toll on you being in there. You know what I mean? So therefore, I mean, at the end, I was like, that was it. That was like, how they say the old saying, the camel, that the last straw that broke the camel's back or whatever, however you say. Yeah, that was the last straw. All right, the last straw that broke the camel's back. That was it. I couldn't take it. And when I went to Italy, all right, let me tell you something. When I got there, my mother was like, "Oh, Madonna, look at this guy. They're trying to feed me, do this, do that." One day they're trying to fatten me up, right? So now when I got deported, I had all these ICE agents with me, 6 of them. I think they would just wanted to go on vacation, to be honest with you. You know what I mean? They didn't need 6 ICE agents with me. You know what I mean? So now when I was on the plane, I was like, could I get a glass of wine, do whatever? No, they said I couldn't drink. I was like, all right, whatever. So then I just hung out, flew with them, got off. As soon as I got out, that was it. The Italians were, like, listen, this guy, he could do whatever he wants. You know what I mean? He's with us now. So basically the Italians took me in like nothing happened. I mean, I was in another country, but I just didn't, I don't know that country. I mean, I was a year old when I left that country. So when I got there, everything was great. Don't get me wrong. You know what I mean? And I was just happy to be out. My brother was there. My uncle was there. My cousin was there to pick me up. We stopped at an auto grill on the way back. We had a few bottles of wine. We had a nice lunch. And then we got back to the house and we had a whole feast waiting for us. All right. Which was crazy. So then my mother was there. Everybody was there. My whole family. You know what I mean? And I mean, I was skinny. I mean, I was in good shape, but I was skinny. From there, I started living my life in Italy, but we're going to get to that, on another episode. I just wanted to kind of, pretty much straighten up a little bit about last week and then just talk about a little bit more about this here. You know what I mean? But we'll get into that next time. You know what I mean? Because I'm not going to have enough time. But Italy was good. All right. But you got to also adapt to a new world. All right, so how good is that? It's not that good. You're happy to get out. All right, you're really happy to get out. Don't get me wrong. You're ecstatic to be out, but you're in a new world, man. Yeah, it's not your country. You know what I mean? You were only born there. That's so you don't know nothing about that country. You didn't go to school there. You didn't grow up with any of your friends there. Yeah, okay, your cousins. You remember little things when you're running around and you're having a good time in the streets. But when those days are over, now you're a full-grown man. And you got kids in the U.S. and you got, your family there and you're over here with I got some first cousins over there, but, they're really my mother's cousins and, my father's cousins and, everything else, but not really my cousins that I grew up with or whatever. You know what I mean? It's just a whole different world. So now you got to adapt to a whole different, it's not easy. All right. It's definitely not easy. All right. And I gotta tell you, it was not easy. But we'll get into that, you know what I mean, when, next, in the next, in the views, in the stories to come, we will get into that. I mean, it was definitely not easy. But, look, at the end of the day, prison's not good for anybody, okay? Prison is not a good place for nobody, all right? I mean, they could indict people they can indict whoever they want. You know what I mean? Which is crazy. You know what I mean? The people that they try to indict and what they can do, if they're in that power, it blows my mind. I mean, what they could do is scary, actually. You know what I mean? It's not a good thing. I wish everybody the best and just try to keep your nose out of whatever that doesn't smell right. Put it that way. Just keep your nose out of it. I mean, listen, I did the best I could, but unfortunately, I got caught up in some little crap that I had to pay the price for. You know what I mean? And it wasn't nothing big. Believe me, my charges were fraud. All right. They said that I committed fraud. Fraud on what? I don't know. But they said I committed fraud. So now, once they say you commit fraud, that's it. Okay. You accept what they charge you with. You take full responsibility for it. And you call it a day. All right. After you go to jail, you don't expect to get deported to another country. Okay, for fraud. I could see if I was a murderer, pieces of garbage that deserve to just stay in prison, and then when they get out, ship them out. That's another story. You know what I mean? But fraud, I mean, come on. You're raised in the country. You got your whole everything there. I mean, I still have properties. I still have things there. I got family. I mean, come on. What's going on? And you just deport somebody like that? Listen, I know a few people that got deported. You know, obviously for some reason you meet these people that when you're out here, and I don't know, it's crazy. I met a few people in Italy that have been deported. Here in Nassau, I met about 4 or 5 people that have been deported. Listen, at the end of the day, it is what it is, and it's not right. Okay, something's got to be fixed, and hopefully they fix something over there because it's really the laws. Let me tell you something. They don't abide by the law. By the law, all right. They don't go by the law, all right. If the law says one thing, all right, and somebody else says another thing, and somebody wants this done, that's what they go by. It all depends on the judge what they want to do. There's no law, all right. You could say this law, that law, doesn't matter. It's whatever they want to do at the end of the day, all right. Anyway, listen. Till the next time.